Hi, College of Business, BUS 330 Finance. Unfortunately, our class is part of the assessment plan and we have to have a combined coordinated assessment for all sections of 330 in order to meet with AACSB guidelines to get our accreditation. So that's the reason we're doing this. Now, there are a number of meetings by different committees and faculty meetings that determined what the program learning outcomes would be and the course specific learning outcomes and how we're going to go about assessing 330. So I'm here to kind of explain it all to you and put it together in a way that you'll understand how we're going to do the assessment for 330, because it has to be, we all have to do it the same way using the same tools in order for AACSB to be satisfied that we're assessing evenly and properly for our program. Now, I know this is a pain, so we tried to figure out the best way of doing it with the minimum amount of impact on faculty. And this is what we're going to come up with. So I'm going to demo it and demonstrate it now for you. And the reason I'm doing it this way is it's rather difficult to get the number of people who teach 330 together to do this in a meeting, because half of the sections are taught by adjuncts that work full-time. Also, there may be future people who teach this course, and this would prevent me from having to explain it again to someone in the future or someone who misses the meeting. So I'm using a little modern technology of the internet and YouTube to create this video. Okay, so the assessment plan for spring 2015 from undergraduate, and as I look this over, I see that there's only one thing that we have to do for the program learning goals. These are the learning goals for the entire program, and it's demonstrate a core body. Students need to demonstrate a core body of discipline knowledge and the ability to apply these concepts. And we are one of the classes where this is going to be assessed. Now, this is a difficult thing to assess. Luckily, I have been planning for this for a while, and we all use the Zoom simulation, which is going to be the basis of our tool to assess this program learning goal. Now, you may keep in mind if you teach any other courses here that you have to do something similar in these other courses, and if you're, let's see, none of these may be, but those are the other courses affected, which we're not going to cover in this class. Okay, so here's something. I'm going to include this document in the email I send out, and these are how you could incorporate the verbiage into your syllabus. So program and student learning outcomes. College of Business program learning outcomes demonstrate a core body of discipline knowledge and the ability to apply these concepts. Now, this wording is very specific. We had to use a type of certain words, key vocabulary that AACSB finds appropriate. And what I have written up is the learning outcomes will be assessed using a total score achieved by students after the completion of a business simulation project. Each student will individually operate a manufacturing company during simulation for 6 rounds. Students will complete a series of reflective observation questions. After each round, the review of these questions will form the basis of the student's ability to demonstrate and describe the core body of business discipline knowledge in finance, marketing, accounting, and operations. So as you know, built into the simulation are these reflective observation questions. And these are going to be the basis of whether or not we're determining that the students understand and can demonstrate knowledge of discipline specific concepts. And this reflective observations, the AACSB loves this type of assessment analysis and finds it very effective. So we can use the simulations output to assess how the students are demonstrating this knowledge. Okay, so that's the program. There's also what they call the student learning outcomes, and this is specific to our course. So our course specific learning outcomes have listed below: applying tools of sales, forecasting, marketing in a simulation, demonstrating shareholders' required rate of return, managing capital, creation of wealth, analyzing competitive industry to maximize profits, identifying tools to optimize operating profits, evaluation and improvement of maximizing shareholders' wealth, demonstrating ability to increase the firm's efficiency using assets, applying tools of financial management to increase profits compared to total assets, and demonstrating the ability to increase shareholder return for their investment using financial analysis. Now, these course-specific learning goals can all be measured by the output of the Zoom simulation. So we'll get a number based on how they compete as an individual to assess these specific course learning outcomes. And okay, so that's the verbiage that you need to include. So I would suggest cutting and pasting this into your syllabus for future teaching of the class. Now let's switch over to the simulation and see how we can have this put together a report to document all this assessment. This is the part that we've been dreading, but I think I've come upon a pretty easy way of doing it. Now, the first hurdle is that you have to have your 330 class complete the individual practice rounds, because the team assessment does not account, this is not appropriate for individual assessment of students. So here in the 330, we're not assessing team ability or team projects, we're assessing individual learning goals. So you must require each student to complete a full 6 rounds of the individual practice of the simulation. And once they complete the 6 rounds of the individual practice, I mean, if you view roster on your class, and this is a class I completed, I think, last year, you could see here practice rounds in progress. If they have, this is what they're currently working on, practice round final points. This is the first time they completed the practice round. The final points are logged here. And you can see this student, the current practice rounds and the final practice rounds are the same, meaning that they only did this once. If you look at this student here, their practice round final points are 2,200, and they restarted it and they were reworking on it, and they just never moved forward. And you may have a situation, some students may have run the simulation more than once, and that's fine, because we were just recording, I think we're just recording here the first attempt, and that all gets pre-recorded. So even though they may restart the practice rounds and rework on them, it still logs in the last time they finalized it. So okay, back to the view classes. So once you have your students complete the 6 rounds of the individual practice, you can click on View Results under Individual Results. And here they're gonna create an environment where we can review and assess the students. Okay, so here is the individual assessment results, and what they have here is these are the individual reflective observations for the students. Now, this is really going to be the pain of assessing the program learning goals. You will have to go into the individual observations and review this. Once you click on this, it will list all their answers to individual reflective observations, and then you will have to read them and then decide yes or no whether or not you feel the student is demonstrating a core body of discipline, knowledge, and the ability to apply these concepts. So based on what they write, you could, to the answers to these reflective observations, you should be able to tell whether or not they understand the core set of discipline-specific knowledge that the reflective observations are talking about. So basically, this is subjective. So you read what the student wrote, and you get an idea, do you feel like the student knows what they're talking about and has demonstrated this ability? Yes or no. So sort of a yes or no. And this will be a little tedious because you'll have to go into each student and assess that. Now for the course-specific learning goals, we have a pretty easy tool to work with here. And I would suggest that we set a benchmark of 50%. And the benchmark would be pass-fail 50%, meaning that if the students can perform better than 50% tile of the database of other students playing the simulation, as they described to me, is that they keep a database of all undergraduates that play the simulation. And so they have a record of, I think, over 5,000 students of undergraduate universities have played the simulation. So what we're saying here is that if they can do better than 50% of the people in that database, they will pass the benchmark we've set for this assessment report. So here we're going to download the assessment report from Zoom, and it comes into a spreadsheet. So let's open that up. Okay, so here is the spreadsheet. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to have to, first thing we want to do is kind of, let's just modify this a bit. I think I'm going to wrap the text here, expand this cell. Let's see, maybe we should wrap all the text. Okay, so just a quick formatting here so we could look at this better. And we could see here that, now this is the point that they use this word understanding, which is not good verbiage for the assessment committee, a board. They don't like understanding. It's not, you can't measure how much someone understands per se. So what I suggest is when on the spreadsheet, I've created these down here, the course specific learning goals, and I kind of reworked what they had written on the spreadsheet. So applying tools of sales forecasting and marketing, that would be the first one. So they're sort of in order here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in one by one. So here, demonstrating required rates of return, managing capital, and if I go into the spreadsheet, it's the same, pretty much the same sentence, except I've changed the beginning of it to use the words that are appropriate for AACSB. So you could kind of, once you do this and create your template, you could easily just cut and paste the next time after you download, you can just cut and paste column A into the spreadsheet again. So, or maybe I'll even save the spreadsheet and give it to you, so that way you won't have to actually click and do this. Okay, I'm gonna pause it here and finish it so I don't waste your time. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. So what I had done is I've gone into our student learning outcomes specific for the course, and I updated these measurements to be identical to what we have. Now down here where they have communication, critical thinking, leadership, these we can delete because we're not measuring those. Analytical decision making, we can delete that. Business knowledge we can leave because that was, I think this is for business knowledge, I'm going to convert that to our program learning goal. And I'm going to put that in here. Let me wrap the text. And I'm going to say program learning goal. Okay. And maybe I will just bold and underline that. Okay, so the program learning goal, and this, okay, so let's go back to the top. Here's the objective. The assessment measure simulation will use the revenue results to measure performance. The benchmark, we set 50 percentile to achieve a ranking of 50 percentile or higher would exceed expectations. And then we have the results. So what's nice about the spreadsheet, it automatically analyzes the results for us. So 23 students passed, 16 failed from 39 students, 58% of students scored higher than 50%. And that 50%, again, what that means is there's a database that measures students' performance as undergraduates across the country. And I'm saying that our students should perform better than 50% of the students in the database as a percentile. So now consider that a pass, and that's where we're going to start. And as we're doing continuous improvement, we can move this benchmark higher to show that we're continuously improving that result. Action taken. So review of the importance of revenue and give more examples in class. So in order to increase my pass rate on this, this is the action I'm going to do. And I'm going to review it again next semester, and that's it. So these elements here is what are required for us to document for assessment. And what's nice is even though Zoom doesn't have it perfect, they have a significant amount of everything written for us that we need. We just had to change the program. Actually, I should title this program and course learning goals. And we could even say course learning goal 1. We could relabel them that way too, so there's no confusion. I'll do that later though. Okay, so second one, shareholders. Demonstrate the shareholders required rates return managing capital, overall creation of wealth, increase the students the increase of the student simulation company stock price will be the measure of success here. Simulation using stock price to measure performance, achieving a 50% rank, and here only 17 of 22 passed this, and so the action taken is review the importance of stock prices, give more examples in class, and I'm going to review it again next semester. So you could see how most of this is already filled out for us, which is great. So these boxes, the assessment measure, benchmark, analysis results, and action taken for these course learning goals are all filled out for us, which is great. We don't have to do anything once we have our template. Then moving down, this is the big one here, the program learning goal. And I think what I'm going to do for this spreadsheet here is I'm going to move this should really be at the top. So we'll put that there. And maybe what we'll do is just to clean it up. And again, I'm going to give you the spreadsheet that you can have to modify. All right, so we would have our program learning goal. Let's see. Okay, so I just relabeled, just cleaned up the spreadsheet a little bit. The and I'm going to include the spreadsheet so you can also use it. Now for the program learning goal, using reflective observations to judge a student's knowledge of basic business, looking for a reasonable level of business gotta take out this word understanding. Yeah, see this is their verbiage when we downloaded it. So using to judge your overall students, and we'll say ability to apply the basic business knowledge. And then over here, again, understanding has to be taken out. Looking for a reasonable level of business, we'll say performance, as it applies to their company's outcomes. All right. So let me correct performance there. Okay. Instructor needs to analyze results of reflective observation responses. So here I've gone into the simulation previously and I've looked at everyone's individual observations, and this is what I came up as an assessment. I'm going to say, so this should be changed, an analysis of results, and we would say reviewed each student's responses to the reflective observation questions. Okay, so then I would say I'd say that 25 pass 25 students, fail 14 students. Okay, so after reviewing the reflective observations, I feel that 25 students do understand and can demonstrate a core body of knowledge, and 14 students can't. So action taken. I'm going to say spend more time reinforcing the let's see, I'm going to use the same wordage I used over here. Take more time. So I'm going to take the same words here, move them over here. Reinforcing the core body of discipline knowledge and how demonstrating to students how they can apply this to all right, something like that. So, and you can modify this to be whatever you feel is appropriate. All right, let me just correct that one word. Okay, so to review again next semester. All right, so that's all you, so now I'm done. I have the program learning goal, and again, this is the one that's a little time consuming because I have to actually review what they wrote in their reflective observations of the simulation and then judge here at the analysis if I feel that if they're able to demonstrate this knowledge or not. And then I have to document some sort of action I'm going to take next time to improve this. And then I have the course learning goals here, which I relabel course learning goal 1 through 9. And this is the easy part because this downloads right from the Zoom simulation. I just have to change these descriptions and it gives me the pass-fail rate for each student. And it also gives me the suggested action taken. So that this wraps up my responsibility as far as what I need to put together for the program learning goals and the course learning goals and the assessment of the students. And this is the format that AACSB finds acceptable in assessing students' learning. And I also updated this to use the correct verbiage that AACSB finds acceptable in an assessment report, which unfortunately the Zoom simulation did not all have the correct verbiage, so that's why I had to modify this. But at least they gave us a pretty good starting template to work with. Now I'm going to save this template and connect it to the email I send you along with the link to this video, so that way you can easily modify their download for your class. So I guess the real things that the things that we have to remember at the end of this, just as a quick review, is that we need to go in and copy this verbiage for the program and student learning outcomes into your syllabus. Then in the simulation, you have to not only you have to stress that make part of a gradable assignment that the students complete 6 rounds of individual practice. Now you can have them do this anytime, before they do the team assignment, after they do the team assignment, while they're doing the team assignment, just as long as they complete at least the full 6 rounds of the individual practice, which is separate from the team assignment. And it would be really beneficial if we could use the team assignment data, but we can't because the AACSB says it's not measure. You can't measure teamwork individually. So we have to use the individual review. And again, when we review that, we want to go into individual results, review the individual results, and then set a benchmark. And here we're saying 50%. Now, again, on the roster, you can see who has completed the individual practice, because this will be, if this is not filled in, so this blank here, this student did not complete the individual practice. They only completed 4 rounds, and they never made it to the full 6. well, 7, I guess, is the last round when you finish 6. So that would be, that's why I recommend making the completion of the practice rounds a gradable item, so we have the data to do the assessment. And again, once we download the assessment, we can easily modify it using this template that I built off of their template, and then everything, all this data will be saved for 330, and we will met our commitment of assessing the course. And I think this is overall probably less for the amount of learning goals that we're assessing. This is the least amount of work than compared to some other methods other classes are pursuing. So that's it for my assessment video for 330. I hope you find this helpful, and let me know. You can always email me back if you have any questions or concerns or ideas for improving this process. Okay, thanks guys, and take care.